Welcome to Speak. I'm Joy Taylor, here with Super Bowl champion Keyshawn Johnson, NBA Finals MVP Paul Pierce, Fox Sports senior NBA analyst Slick Rick Bucher.
Rick the ruler in the house.
Rick the ruler. Slick Rick.
I just want to make sure I'm standing upright, very professional in this manner.
Posture.
Yeah, let me get that right. Let me see. Rick got the arms crossed right here.
We getting corporate key today?
Yeah, man, you know, I don't want to do something.
Okay, Rickster.
Oh, yeah. Paul, the Knicks lost again.
I told you.
Tell us how that makes you feel
I'm just
in
saying.
one word.
You know what? The Knicks fans, they've been all over my social media, and, I've been trolling them a bit. But
a bit.
Yeah,
A bit.
but I'm saying, and I wouldn't have did it, and they all know the Boston, New York, right? I wouldn't have did it if after they beat Boston, they wasn't running in the streets, jumping on street lights, hanging off billboards like they just did a parade.
In hindsight, it kind of was their parade, right?
Yeah, and that's why I anointed them on social media with a banner called "Beat the Celtics in the second round" with a banner that said that.
You put a banner up?
Yeah. They get a banner, "Beat the Celtics in the second round" banner.
Oh, you gotta keep in mind, New York Knicks haven't done anything in a minute.
Not in our lifetime. Rick.
So knocking off the defending champions means something to them. You can't be mad at them for that.
Don't run the streets and then harass Indiana fans and all of that.
You
Come on.
can't say that they should act like they've been there before. They've never been there before.
Exactly.
But it's round 2, though.
But they've never been there before.
If they would have gotten to
Exactly.
the Eastern Conference Final on their way to the NBA
It's not second round.
Right,
You know when you bring
Yeah.
someone somewhere and you're like, wow, you've never been here before.
You gotta let them know beforehand. Now act like you been here before.
No.
Let's walk you through the process.
Hey, my boy, them is not onion rings. That's calamari.
No, you have it.
Yes.
Hey. I got a story. I'm just gonna share it real quick. I had a homie one time, Paul, Joy, Rick. We go to dinner, and the whole thing. Read what we want, whatever. You go, man. What's the entree? You think that's gonna be good?
Come on. I think that's gonna be good. Come on, man.
I just died. Yeah.
What's in the entree?
You gotta let. Sometimes, man, it take a minute though.
That's okay.
It take a minute.
Oh, my
Yeah,
goodness.
it was
Gotta
new
get
to it.
educated at some
Yeah, it
point.
was new to
Yeah.
it.
So New York, they just hadn't been there before.
For sure.
They didn't know what an
Man.
entree was. Tyrese Haliburton led the way last night, putting up historical numbers as the Pacers pushed the Knicks to the brink of elimination. Haliburton had the first ever game with at least 30 points, 10 rebounds, 15 assists, and no turnovers. Indiana took control of the Eastern Conference Finals, heading back to New York, leading the series 3-1. So,
Man.
Paul, this postseason, Haliburton has proved he's a top what player in the NBA?
Top 10 easy, though. It's easy. Top 10 player. When I look at the all-NBA list, and I look and I see, Giannis, SGA, Nikola, Joker, Donovan Mitchell, Tatum. Okay, you good with that. Now, I got some questions on the second list because when I look at the players on there, and, individually, when you look at their numbers, they probably deserve to be on there, but I don't look at, I look at what you do for your team and your impact on winning. And that's what I give Haliburton. And that's what he doesn't get credit for. Because his numbers is not going to look the same as Jalen Brunson's on the second team or Steph Curry's or Edwards or LeBron. But look at the impact on his team he's giving them. He is making everybody better. He's bringing a bunch of guys that the casual fan, probably haven't heard of. They have an all-star that people didn't know probably was an all-star in Siakam. He didn't even make the all-star team, Haliburton.
Right.
People forget this guy brought the Indiana Pacers to the conference finals last year and was a three-point shot from Jaylen Brown away from stealing game 1. And if he doesn't get hurt game 2, they probably would have gave Celtics a better run for their money. And a healthy team coming back this year, I'm really seeing the potential of this team all because of one man who influences winning more than anybody I see not more than maybe Steph, Edwards. I'll probably take them. But certainly I would have took him second team over LeBron and Brunson. I would have took him because look at, it's not flashy. It's not the shiny toy. It's not the new thing in the mirror. It's just heart, hustle, and inspiring. He passes the ball ahead. Everybody touches the ball. You probably, casuals can't even tell me, even though they watched this conference finals, you probably still can't tell me the starting five for Indiana. Like, who?
Yeah.
Nee what?
Yeah.
Nee Smith? Oh, Nimhard? Oh, they play for who? And that's why I say, because it's really Haliburton and a bunch of, to the casual fan, no names, not household names like we know Luka, LeBron, no household names. No disrespect to Indiana, because they're a great team and they're on their way to the finals. But he's easily top 10 for me based on what he's doing. And look at the memorable moments he's had in just this one playoff run. Just this one. I'm going to get back to that later, but I just want y'all to know he's top 10. He's played, people forgot he played on the USA Olympic team. People probably forgot that because we were so wrapped up in the Tatum not playing, Steph with his show he put on, and LeBron. People forgot Haliburton was over there sitting on the bench of the USA team. So my hat's off to him, and people better start recognizing who Tyrese Haliburton is. And if you go to social media, you can see me doing the Hallie today. Check me out on Instagram. All right, you got it.
Look, he wasn't on any of my All-NBA teams. He wasn't in my top 15. This is, to me, is a reflection of just how far he's come in these playoffs, because I'm not going to apologize for the fact that he wasn't in my top 15. Pascal Siakam was, because as far as their season was concerned, Siakam had a bigger influence, had a better season. Haliburton struggled the first half of the year mightily, but he has come on, and he is, I agree with you, he's top 10, and outside of the guys that you mentioned, Jokic and Giannis and SGA, Tatum, Kawhi if he qualified, but like that 6 through 10 range, I think he's in there with Steph or Brunson or KD or Paolo Banchero or Cade Cunningham. Like there's a group there, but I don't know which one of those guys would fall out, but he would not. And I believe, honestly, being on the Olympic team, I think there's a reason that we're seeing this now from him. Being on the Olympic team and not playing, and nobody made a peep about that. Everybody was up in arms about the fact that Tatum didn't play.
Right.
No one had a problem with the fact that Haliburton got no run. And then he's named most overrated player by the players. You can't tell me the combination of those two things that he was, and I know he was bothered by the fact that he didn't play on the Olympic team, and nobody thought that there was some injustice there. And then he's named most overrated by his peers. He came into these playoffs with something to prove, and he has proved it.
No, he has. And I know a lot of people look at the regular season a lot of the times to give you the foresight of what a player is going to be. But for me, it's all about the postseason. It really truly is, because the postseason is what defines you as a player. I mean, we really don't talk about guys that have successful regular seasons and do nothing in the playoffs. We don't sit up here and go, wow, that dude's really good. No, when guys come into the postseason, it's when we start having the conversations.
That's when you make your reputation.
That's when you make your reputation. And clearly, since he's been in the postseason multiple times, he's done okay, and he's continuing to get better. But when you talk about the top 10, he surely is in the top 10. I don't know where you put him. I don't know if he's 3 or 6 or 7 or 9 or 10. He's in there somewhere. There's going to be conversations on whether or not a Jalen Brunson belongs versus him. Or Anthony Davis, does he really belong somewhere in there?
And Edwards.
The Ant-Man, I would say he belongs in the top 10.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah.
Look, I had him in my top 10, but, and we'll get to this, but I think Ant Edwards has taken a hit. The playoffs can go two ways.
Yeah, he's taken
It can make you or it can break you.
He certainly has taken a certain hit, but he's in there. He ain't going nowhere. Because he's done enough in the postseason, I think, to still be sticking around at 23 years old, and we're going to get there about what he's done at such a young age. But Joy, he belongs in the top 10. Overrated, whatever. I mean, players are going to say what they want to say. That's just because they don't like him for some reason. Whatever those percentage of players are, it ain't about his game, because it can't be about his game. It got to be something about his swag or something. It can't be about his game.
I can tell you, one, he plays kind of soft. He's got a goofy jump shot, right? And he struggled mightily at the beginning of this year, and he wasn't a guy that you went to. Like, he was a great distributor guy.
What does a goofy jump shot got to do with being overrated if it goes in?
Because if we're talking about an elite player, I think guys look at how forceful are you? Are you stepping up when the game is on the line? And what does your game look like? And his game just looks kind of funky. It does.
You've been covering basketball forever.
Yes.
And you know basketball.
Yeah.
Jamal Wilkes.
Yeah.
Now, what type of shot was that?
Okay, but we weren't.
It was effective because he go like this and knock it in.
Understood. But we're talking about, like, when he's on the Olympic team, that was already somebody saying, in some people's minds, you're top 10. And I think players looked at it and went, he's not a top 10 player. He doesn't deserve to be on that Olympic team over other guys at that time. Now you'd never question it.
Well, that's how quickly things can turn around in the postseason because this is when it matters. I think when you're looking at the totality of the league, I think he's in that 7 to 12 range. But what has gone on in this postseason has changed the course of his career because he's set a new standard for himself with how he's played. Maybe people questioned about whether he should have been on the Olympic team. And clearly his peers thought that he wasn't as good as this. Because it seems to me that the overrated nod is the kiss of death. If you're a hater, don't vote somebody overrated because you got Josh Allen and Haliburton right now making big sillies of your votes because that's not how it was supposed to go if you're overrated. I mean, obviously we're not going to put him in the category of a Jokic or an SGA or Tatum or Luka or Giannis at this point, but what he's doing for the Pacers and the numbers that he's putting up, the consistency, the efficiency, the big moments in the postseason when it matters most, that counts almost for more.
They're Jokic-like. I mean,
Jokic and Oscar Robertson are the only other players to post 30 points, 15 assists, and 10 rebounds in a playoff game. So,
with no turnovers. Think about how fast they play and the fact that he's the point guard and has the ball in his hands the whole time. And he's able to put together a triple-double and not turn the ball over once.
If they go ahead and take care of business and wind up in the finals and then beat whoever they see, whether it's OKC or Minnesota, most likely OKC, and he becomes the MVP, because right now, based on the way he's playing, it certainly looked like if they were to win the finals, he would probably be the MVP, right?
Be the most remarkable thing ever.
When you won the MVP, Paul, how did it change in your eyes? Not necessarily because for me, but just how did it change the way you think you were viewed after you won the MVP?
Well, a lot of people, I was a really good player on bad teams for a long time. Yeah. And, people didn't think that I can be a great player on a great team. Mm-hmm. That was kind of like the perception. Oh, he's only good because his team's not that good. So now when we got better players, I think it started to come to light how good of a player I started to become. So when you with better players, and like you said, this run for him, if they win the championship, this will be one of the greatest NBA runs in history that I would look at in history.
Did you prove something to yourself? Like, because you'd never really had the opportunity to be in those big moments on the biggest stage. Did you always feel like, you know what, all I need is the opportunity?
I always felt that. I felt on every level I was on the big stage, even going from high school playing in big tournaments, from Kansas playing on big stages. I always thought I was ready for the big stage. I just didn't have the opportunity. And when I got the opportunity, I was able to seize the moment. And I'm seeing this out of Haliburton right now. He hasn't been on a big stage because he didn't get the minutes for USA team. He's playing for Indiana, who don't get a lot of national televised games. And in my eyes, he's probably the best pure point guard in an era where there aren't pure point guards anymore. Because when you look at the guards that's left, Brunson, SGA, these guys are just elite scorers. Mm-hmm. And so he's bringing the traditional guard back to light and saying, hey, you can win being a pass-first guard, but I can score too, guys. Don't get it twisted. I can put up some numbers, but I can pass and I can make my team better. And if they need me to score, I can. And that's all coming to light for him.
Well, the Knicks kept it close, but only led for 2 minutes in Game 4. Jalen Brunson scored 31 points, and Cat and OG each went for 20. Josh Hart kicked in 12 off the bench, but New York still didn't have enough scoring to keep up with Indiana. We know that teams down 3-1 only win the series 4.4% of the time. Key, what percentage are you giving the Knicks at a comeback?
Why are you looking at me? I could see you on my periph. Basically, what the line is, the 4.4. That's the percent. They got a 4.4 chance, just like the odds said, of winning. I don't have any faith in them coming back down 1-3 or 3-1, so to speak. Why would I at this point in time? I mean, I gave them an opportunity yesterday to even the score.
You picked them yesterday.
Yeah, to even the score. And so I got some friends flying back actually today for the game tomorrow. I said, y'all going back there for that? Y'all could have just gave the money to charity, because that's exactly what you're getting ready to do. Am I lying, Paul?
Man.
They might as well just have given the money to charity instead of wasting money flying all the way to go see a game.
Don't look to me for confirmation on that.
Why?
Because.
Oh, so you think the Knicks still got a shot?
I think they have a chance of winning this game. And
It don't matter. It doesn't matter if they win it. It's all for nothing, because they're going to lose it again when they get back to Indy.
Okay, Mr. Murr.
They're going to lose it again. I hate to be Debbie Downer, but that's the reality of it. And I want the Knicks to win, and I wanted them to win, because I didn't want to see an OKC Indy final, regardless if it's a good matchup or not. It's a sleeper for me.
Right? I'm going to give them a 6.4% chance.
6.4?
I would give them 2%, and then I wasn't aware of the 4.4, the natural 4.4. So I'm going to give them 2% above that, largely because the way they lost this last game was really by their own hand. Like, their turnovers, their shot selection, their missed defense. Like, there's a lot of things that they could correct that if they played up to their ability, even though they were in Indiana, I think they could have won that game. Teams down 3-1 have come back 4.4% of the time. Yes, I know you already said that. Why am I having to read that again? So I'm saying it's 6.4%.
He's adding 2%. All right, Paul.
What percentage chance
What are you doing?
There's an ant right here, Joey. What percentage are you giving this ant to live? 0. There's no chance. It's gone. It's gone. Get it out of here.
Poor little
0
ant guy.
chance.
There's another little ant over here.
I'm giving them 0 chance, but I do think they're going to push it to 6.
Yeah.
They might push it to 6.
Yeah.
And if they push it to 6,
Yeah.
you get an injury.
We'll talk
you get an injury. See what happens. Andrew Neesmith can't go.
If the Knicks win this series.
No.
No.
What are you about to say?
Oh, no.
Write it down first.
Write it down first.
Yeah, and run it by us.
Run it by us.
Before they
Because
go
we
out.
got a stake in this now.
Very important.
Don't say it out loud yet.
Yeah, thank
Coming
you.
up, the Steelers are winking and nodding and waiting on Aaron Rodgers to be their quarterback. We'll tell you if this is a bad look for Pittsburgh. That's next on Speak. And don't forget, you can check us out every day on the Fox Sports channel on Sirius XM.
Shopping is hard, right? But I found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preferences. I order boxes when I want and how I want. No subscription required. And he sends just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and styling tips. I keep what works and send back the rest. It's so easy. Make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Spotify. That's stitchfix.com/Spotify.
A lot of people think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Steeler, but Pittsburgh is now in day 2 of OTAs and no deals have been signed officially. I gave my thoughts as a proud Steelers fan yesterday, and so did Steelers Hall of Famer and our friend here at Fox, Terry Bradshaw. Take a listen.
That's a joke. He shouldn't. That is just, to me, is a joke. What are you going to bring him in for 1 year? Are you kidding me? And that guy needs to stay in California and go, somewhere and chew on bark and whisper to the gods out there.
Dang. Y'all from Cali, y'all chew on bark?
Man.
I don't know nothing about that. I don't know, Terry. I know he one of our colleagues, but come on, man, you dissing California now.
I was just saying, that's what y'all Cali boys do, chew on bark.
I don't know about that. Terry in Texas on a farm or something. So he, Louisiana, one of them, so he on a farm. So he think everybody
Go
chew on
somewhere,
bark.
chew on bark, and whisper to the gods.
That's all.
Sounds like a good
Now, we
night,
do it
actually.
different out here in California.
Also, Key, people think that you and I do not know that Aaron Rodgers is not officially signed to the Steelers.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know. They're having a hard time with it on the internet.
Man, I don't get.
Like, did Joy and Key know that he doesn't have to be there because he's not actually signed to the Steelers? So I don't know if you heard.
Is that how they sound?
That's how, in my brain, when I read these
That's how
things,
it
I'm
sound?
like, and?
In the downstairs, in the basement,
And?
at their parents' house.
How do you have this job if you don't know that Aaron is not officially there?
No, I do believe that I understand.
So do you
that
think, since he's not signed to the Steelers and has no reason to be there because he doesn't actually work there,
Oh, God.
which I just found out, thank you, Twitter.
See what?
Are the Steelers doing more damage than good by waiting on Aaron Rodgers?
Here's what I would say. They're making themselves look real silly. If they don't have an open line of communication and understanding of when he's going to sign the damn contract and be in. For those people that are trolling me and Joy and talking about we don't know what we talk about, listen to what we say. No sound bites on the internet. Just do that for me. Listen to everything that we say. That's all I'm going to say for that. Then you look at it. If it was me and I was in the front office, I gave him 24 hours extended.
Yeah.
Based on, yes, I got to go on and move on now.
You've
There's
been,
no
you've been
understanding.
giving him a lot of grace.
But if there's no understanding, got to be an understanding, though, Joy, that I'm going to be here at this time, this day. Not the, I don't know if I want to play. I haven't made my mind up yet. I'm still trying to decide. I'm not going to play that game with Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to move on at this point. I'm going to start to look for Kirk Cousins or some other type of potential option that could be readily available for me. Hell, I may call Kansas City and say, hey, you want to trade Carson Wentz to me? There's all type of other options that I would be looking at instead of dancing around with Aaron Rodgers every other day. That's just me if I was in the front office.
Man, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You had an opportunity to draft a quarterback for insurance in the draft. And then we're sitting here, day 2 of OTAs, talking about when is Rodgers going to show up or if he's going to show up. You didn't sign Fields. You let Russ go. And now we're sitting here with
Mason Rudolph.
with Mason Rudolph. I mean, if that's the direction, why go out and sign DK? You know, I just don't understand what's going. I don't know what he's thinking. You know, he got his money, but I'm like, what direction is Pittsburgh? Where do they go from here? It almost makes you think like if I'm Coach Tomlin, I'm thinking like this may be the end of the road. They've never gave him the quarterback he's wanted since he's lost Roethlisberger. And we're at a point where he's willing basic teams to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So what motivation would I even have as coach at this point?
I mean, I've been on the bandwagon from the jump, but this is a disastrous choice. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. Forget the fact that they had Justin Fields, and we'll talk about him in a second. They let him walk out the door, and then they had Russ. But you're doing all this shenanigan for someone who's probably only going to play 1 year there. So you go through all of this, and then next year, you're right back in the same position without a quarterback. You're going to make a trade if he doesn't come for what, Kirk Cousins, and then you're giving up pieces to get a guy that
ain't gonna cost you nothing, though.
Sure,
but for 1 year again.
1 year, maybe 2 again. You're still going to be in the same spot where you need a franchise quarterback.
That's correct.
You didn't draft anybody.
That is correct.
There were clearly more quarterbacks in the draft than we thought there were, because a lot got drafted and not in the order that we thought they were going to be. So some teams had some faith in these young guys. I don't get what
They didn't take a QB at all?
I don't get what the plan is later in the draft.
Somebody late in the draft.
But for your future, like, what is the plan? And Aaron Rodgers not being there at OTAs because he doesn't work there yet is crazy to me, because why doesn't he work there yet? What's the agreements? I understand he's an experienced guy, but you have no experience in this building with these players and these coaches in this system. So what's the holdup? Is there, like, you get extra time? Do we not all have the same 24 hours in a day? I mean, you guys tell me. You played. When you go to a new team, and you have an expectation of contributing, which I don't know, the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers should have with Mike Tomlin as the coach who has never had a losing season, an organization that is expected to be, at the very least, making the playoffs and winning playoff games, which they haven't been doing. Wouldn't you want to get in the building earlier and just like, I don't know, do everything you can to give yourself an advantage in a very competitive league where there's like young guys who are way better than you?
Well, the line of communication has got to be there between the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers.
I guess we keep saying that.
No, I'm saying if he's communicated with them and they've communicated with him about when he needed to report after he signs his contract, for those people out there that think that we don't know what we're talking about, and that communication is there, then I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. As long as the communication is there. Because OTAs is important, but there's only six to 8 of those. And then you go into mandatory minicamp. That's more important to me than the OTAs if they've already had a conversation about when he is supposed to sign and report.
What else are you doing?
Well, he just did something on TV yesterday, I thought I saw.
How is that helping you be a better quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
He probably feels he doesn't need OTAs nearly as bad as some other quarterbacks.
Well, I hope he plans on winning playoff games in Pittsburgh then. Because if he doesn't this all seem a bit silly?
No, Pittsburgh looks real stupid to me right now because coaches that I've been around in organizations and things of that nature, they want the players there now. They want them now, right now. Nothing's holding it up. Financial deal is done in terms of structure and what it's going to be. There's none of that. But what I would do if I was a beat writer in Pittsburgh and I was there at OTAs and I had an open session with the coaches of the front office at some point, I would ask them, did you guys come to an agreement on when he is supposed to sign and arrive? That's what I would ask. And I don't know if that question has ever been asked or posed to the people in Pittsburgh to get that answer.
I don't understand it.
Maybe the people in the basements that's going at us on the internet could tell us.
Man.
Joy Taylor and Keyshawn Johnson.
Come on, Joy.
From Aaron's potential new team to his old team, the Jets are starting fresh with a new culture established by head coach Aaron Glenn. He's got a young core with Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and Mason Taylor. And Glenn is embracing the youth that's on his squad. Let's take a listen.
I learned this maybe 10 years ago, that you can't be afraid of the young player. And I think our main purpose as far as building this roster is more or less get the players we feel like that can help us play and that can help us win and be successful. Listen, do we want younger players? Absolutely. It's a young man's game. It is a young man's game.
So how successful will this Jets young core be in 2025? Keyshawn Johnson.
I think they'll be fine. I think they're going to be fine because all coaches play.
Well, you think they're going to win the division?
I do. I think they'll be fine. We're talking about just a young core, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All successful head coaches play young dudes. Literally. Think about it. They all play young guys that can contribute and help them in certain roles. So Aaron Glenn and the Jets are no different. You mentioned Justin Fields at 26 years old. You got Breece Hall at 24, Garrett Wilson at 25. You got Sauce Gardner at 25, Mason Taylor at 21. All of these guys have played significant time in the National Football League, except your nephew and Mason Taylor, which he'll be playing here in September. They all done played.
Their right tackle is a rookie as well.
And the right tackle is going to be a rookie. But when you look at young guys, they help you. I was young when I started, clearly. Eventually, I became a veteran player, but I also was a young seasoned guy because I got the reps. Same thing with Paul. Paul started playing young in Boston, and eventually he was a seasoned young player, but also was a veteran. And that's exactly what you're going to get. Young dudes can play. That's the bottom line. That's why they were drafted where they're drafted, paid what they were paid, and that's why some of these guys are on the roster doing the things that they do. I don't understand how people think when you have a young team, that's a problem. No, young dude, everybody is young. You can't win with a bunch of old heads. You just can't. We see that all the time.
Well, I think the You want a mixture of veterans and young players.
Young players, guys that are in the league beyond 3 years.
Are veterans.
That's not young.
Yeah.
That's not young at all. I want you to learn how to get to the stadium as a rookie. That second year, I need you you got to the stadium, now I just need you to learn how to play sport, whatever that is, football. By the time you get to that third year, I need you to be on the edge or in Pro Bowl type all-pro conversations.
Yeah.
That's where I need you to be, because when you get to that third year and you're not in them conversations, probably not going to be on the team. Probably not any good. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so now you bring in some younger dudes that's a little bit younger than them as the younger dudes start to get older. And then you get maybe you got an older left tackle like Quentin Williams is an older veteran.
Yeah, he's going into his 7th season.
7th season, but seasoned. And he's still young. And he's seasoned. He got a beard too, I think, Paul.
You do?
I think he got a beard, big old D tackle.
Rookie beard?
No. He's going into his 7th year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he got a beard.
Yeah, he got a beard.
The incels are making me lose my voice from yelling. How successful?
But he's only 27.
Yeah. I like the core. I mean, like Keith said, with Fields given the opportunity to finally start full time and with a young core, I think they're going to be very competitive. I like Aaron Glenn. I like the culture. You know, from his interviews, you can tell he's a no-nonsense type of coach. I think he'll be able to shape a young group, because that's what you want. When you're a new head coach, you want a young team. You know what I'm saying? That's so you can mold them and give them an identity based on your attitude and what you want to bring. So I like them to be competitive. I like them to be better than they were last year. I'm looking at the schedule now. Man, Key, I got them for about 8, maybe 9 wins. You know, look at Big Mace. That's an improvement, and they could fight for the division based on how good Fields plays this year. So I expect them to be competitive. I expect the culture to look like something respectable around there. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to compete, man.
Well, to your point, Key, you've got Justin Fields going into his 5th season. Breece Hall in his 4th. Garrett Wilson in his 4th. You've got
Sauce in his 4th.
Sauce is going into his 4th. Quentin Williams going into his 7th. Elijah Vera Tucker going into his 5th. So they're a young team, but they're past that 3-year.
Yeah. They all know how to get to the stadium.
Yeah, yes, they're past that 3-year threshold that we're talking about, where you're like really a veteran. So they have a good mixture of young players, which Aaron Glenn is right. It is a young man's game. We're going to be critical of a team that's too old, because then you're concerned about all kinds of other things. The experience part of it will come to play when Coach Glenn starts to put together the culture and the system, and they start coming together as a team. But yeah, they have a very exciting young core. What their young core is and what they've added to it this year, this is what we've been talking about with the Jets for the past couple of years with Aaron Rodgers, and why the expectations were so high for that team, because of their young core and adding a player like Aaron Rodgers, assuming that he was going to play the way that...
It was an old team last year.
But I'm saying this young core here was there last year and the year before that. Sauce was there, Quentin Williams was there, you know, like Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, like they were there in the building. They had that ability to balance that veteran presence with a young core. So now they're really just leaning into the youth of it all, which I'm excited to see. Coming up, would KD be a good fit in San Antonio? We'll tell you where we want to see KD play next on Speak.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
The Knicks face elimination in Game 5 tomorrow, but at least one fan at the game will be happy regardless of the outcome. 15 contestants competed in a Jalen Brunson look-alike challenge for tickets to Game 5 at the Garden, with Josh Hart helping to select the winner over FaceTime. So, Paul, did they pick the right Brunson?
I didn't see which they.
Who got the final? Who did they pick?
The one with the beard?
Which one?
I don't know which
guy did
one they
pick?
picked. Let me see. I got it.
Number 2? In the middle. Okay.
Yeah, he look like Kyler Murray a little bit.
Probably same size.
Yes.
Y'all crazy.
Guess I would have went body type, facial hair, braids.
By the way, when did this happen? When was this contest?
It had to be yesterday
Yeah.
for Game 5.
Why?
Yesterday or the day before.
I was going to
So what
say
they give
it better be
tickets
before Game
for
4 because that's
contest?
the Knicks and 6
okay.
in computing. If it was,
I wonder how Brunson feel about that look-alike though. Because you know people don't like when people say, "Oh, you
They've
look like."
done a couple. Didn't they have like a Jalen Hurts lookalike contest in Philly? Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying how you think Brunson feels though.
Why, you don't like when people say that you look like somebody?
They say I look like any dude tall, dark skinned with a fade that plays football. That's just, oh, you look like so and so. Oh, I thought you.
Women do not like that.
I don't like it either though.
Women do
No, I
not
don't
like that
that.
comparison. Do not tell
No, I do
a
not
woman
like
that she looks like somebody.
Oh, you look just like T.O. Oh,
No.
you look like Michael Irvin.
And definitely
nobody's
don't.
ever said that
Like,
to me.
what?
Oh, you were talking about yourself. Okay.
No, you
I didn't
know.
hear what Keith said.
No, I said how people walk up to you and be like, oh, you look like T.O. Oh, you look like Michael Irvin. Oh, you look like Chad Johnson.
Rick said
I'm
no,
like,
no one ever said that to him.
I'm trying to
Nobody
think who
ever-
would Rick look like.
Nobody ever came up to me and said you look like
Ron Howard, young Ron Howard.
Heard that.
Yeah, young Ron Howard.
Heard that.
You should lean into that though. Oh no, that's why
Who do
we
people say
have
you look like,
brothers and stuff.
I don't have no look-alike.
No? One of one?
One-on-one.
One of one.
One-on-one. No look-alike.
Oh, we can find somebody. I'm gonna work on that.
Get on it,
One-on-one,
internet.
man, you know.
No, internet,
After you're
internet.
done letting us know what Aaron Rodgers' status
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
find somebody
yeah.
that looks like Paul.
Internet. Get out of the basement.
On the line. Sticking with basketball, the sun is setting on KD's time in Phoenix. The former MVP was nearly moved at the deadline and will be a hot topic of trade discussions this offseason. Reportedly, the Spurs and KD had mutual interest before the trade deadline, and a move to San Antonio could still be in play. Rick, young Ron Howard,
Yes.
should Kevin Durant want to play in San Antonio?
No, he shouldn't. He should be one. KD should want to go wherever KD's going to be happiest, and I don't know where that is because I feel like he's already been in a couple of places where happiness should have been within reach. That said, no, because with the time that he has left and his capabilities, I would expect him to go someplace where he can still be a meaningful piece of a title contender. I assume that that's what he would be interested in. San Antonio is not that. They have a lot of potential, but they're not that close, particularly when I look at all the competition in the West. So, with all that, no, whether it's New York, it's a culture, it's where he can contribute, it's where he could be a difference maker. Maybe not a lock as a title contender. I mean, obviously OKC is an example, but if he could go to Miami and make them meaningful, if he could go to Milwaukee and make them better than they are, if he could go to New York and put them over the top, I think there has to be a little bit at stake for him being a difference maker as opposed to just going along for the ride, because he's already been accused of doing that in Golden State. So even if it's not winning a title, if it's being a difference maker and taking a team to a level that they hadn't previously gotten to, I think would do a lot more for KD than simply joining a championship contender.
Yeah, and I think the same way. It depends on the fit. What's the fit, right? He's at a stage in his career, I'm assuming, I'm not speaking for you, Kevin, but I'm assuming that he wants to win another championship. So
He's not going to speak for KD.
Yeah.
KD, let's be clear.
Let's be clear. I didn't,
Yeah.
I'm working with you, brother. That a Milwaukee would be an option because now you may be able to retain Giannis in this situation if they got the assets to go get him in Philly. And Dame Lillard will come back in a year or so or whatever the case is, and you can hold that thing together. We talked about Miami. OKC, if they lose the final, you now go there and kicks them up a notch or two. That's the type of spot I think he should be looking for. One of those, they right there, opposed to what happened in Golden State, where Golden State already won. You see what I'm saying? And then people are going to say, well, he's repeating
Yeah, don't
the
go to
same
Boston.
thing.
Don't go to Boston.
Don't go to Boston. Why would
Yeah.
he do that?
I'm saying don't
Oh,
go to Boston because
no.
that would be a replicant.
Yeah,
of,
because they already won. They won
Exactly.
without you.
Exactly.
So you need to find somewhere, that's like that, that's right there. And I don't think San Antonio is right there.
Yeah, I agree with both of y'all. I think he needs to go to a place to where, one, he's on a contender because he doesn't have a lot of great years left. I mean, he's up there in age, I believe. What is he, 37?
I was going to say 36, 37.
He's around there, so he probably got, KD. The thing is, he got to go to a team
36.
He's 36. Well, he got to go to a team if he wants to win and play with a player that's better than him.
So could he do Denver? Could Denver
Yes.
work?
Yeah.
Yes. Sure.
Yeah,
Even though they won 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That was 3 years ago.
They're a
though.
different team.
And it's
You know
a
what I'm
different team
saying?
and a different coach.
Two second round outs.
But it's a different coach, too. Not the same coach.
That may be the move, Key. Somewhere like Denver, Milwaukee, because there's not a lot of players better than KD.
I like Denver a lot. Now that you
Yeah,
mention
like if you can give him Michael Porter Jr. some draft picks or something, if they can come up, muster up something, and if a team want to trade within the West. But there's outside of those two, maybe Dallas, he can help. I just think it has to be a slim number of teams. But San Antonio is not quite ready to win it all right now. They're probably a few years away with Wemby developing, getting stronger, coming to his own. Not yet. And I just think that Phoenix is probably going to move him out east.
For sure.
And if I look at the teams out east, Indiana, if they don't win, they may have some pieces they can move.
But why would they want to move? At this stage of his career, why do you care where you go? You're rebuilding your entire organization. Y'all not going to be ready to win if you're Phoenix right now anyway. So
Yeah,
why
so-
do I care? I want to get the best package.
You want to get young assets because you're going to be probably looking to rebuild if you're Phoenix.
That's what I'm saying, the best package. So I don't care
So
if you
you-
go west, east, south. I don't care where you go.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
There is something about having him if he went to
Luka
Denver
was
and he goes
traded.
win a
Luka
cha-
was
wins a
traded in the
championship.
Western Conference,
Yeah.
and that's Luka.
That was
Yeah.
that was the exception rather than the rule. I would say.
Yeah.
I don't hate San Antonio because they're a high-level organization, and he's had success in that type of a situation. I also don't think he should care about what people say about where he's going. Who cares? I wouldn't have cared about what people said about him going to Golden State.
And I would have stayed my tail right in Golden State.
I would have stayed in Golden State also. But who cares what people say about where KD is going?
Clearly, he cared.
I don't know. Maybe at this point, I don't think he should. They're going to say something no matter what. Like they had something to say about Phoenix, they're going to say something no matter where he goes. If he goes to Denver, they're going to say the same thing. Oh, he went and played with Jokic and he couldn't win. Who gives a damn?
Yeah.
If you're going to a place to compete for a championship with KD is still a very high-level player in this league who has gas in the tank, what difference does it make where you go and what people have to say about it?
Yeah. And why would you care if you get smoke from KD either? Like, why would you care?
I just don't feel like having to check nobody in person. That's why. I just want peace. That's all.
Because you don't have a problem with getting smoke from
I just don't want
anybody.
I just don't want
But KD, you seem to be tiptoeing around.
I come with peace, brother. That's all. I just come with peace.
Yes.
That's all.
Rick is instigating.
No, Rick ain't instigating. No, Rick
I'm
is
just
correct.
curious. I have questions.
I just come with peace.
Okay.
That's all. I don't want no issues. I love KD as a player. I like him. He's phenomenal. I don't want no problems with anybody. I just want to do my job. That's it.
Oh, does KD have enough left in the tank for another title run?
Yeah, it definitely has enough in the tank for a title run. I mean, but like I said earlier, he just can't be your best player on a team making a title run. And I said earlier in the year that he would make a lot of sense for OKC if OKC doesn't win it. It makes sense for him to go to Milwaukee to pair with Giannis. Maybe Orlando, because I think the East is wide open right now with Tatum out, maybe for most of the year. I think Orlando could be a sleeper team that I would really look into because they got some young guys that can play, or maybe Detroit.
And they need scoring.
And they need scoring more than anything. So,
But even if you're sending him down to Orlando with a young team, though, he becomes automatically the father.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I think Banchero has established himself as the guy.
Franz Wagner.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's established himself as the guy.
So you Franz Wagner before KD?
No, I'm Paolo Banchero before KD.
Yeah.
KD will be those second, best player on most nights.
You could move Wagner for KD.
You think that KD in an Orlando young team would accept I don't want to say backup role, but a second fiddle in Orlando with a young team opposed to a Denver type with a joker that you know?
I mean, I think Denver is probably the best case scenario. Like, if he's
pretty good.
If you're putting KD with Jokic
and
Murray, that's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
I think as a fit and who KD is, it would work well with his personality and all that. But I also think that KD just wants to hoop. I don't think he wants to be the face of the organization, like egotistically or any of that stuff. If he went to Orlando, I don't know that would matter.
But automatically, based on his resume, he gets pushed into that role regardless if he wants to do it or not, just automatically because of who he is, because what he's given the game of basketball. People gonna automatically want to say he's the guy.
Do you think that would be the case?
But they wouldn't do that in Denver because they got a guy that has won a championship in 3 MVPs.
I mean, he's the best player in the league.
The best player in the league, so to speak. So they wouldn't do that in Denver.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think that's the idea.
But do you think that would happen in Orlando, though?
No, I think when you get to a certain age, to where KD is at, he's looking for somebody, a young guy, to take pressure off of him. He's carried so many franchises for so many years. I mean, he'll be 37 for the next season. As I got older, I wanted to play with some younger guys while I went to Brooklyn and Washington, to have some young guys, help carry you. So, like,
look at him.
Why you looking like that, Keith?
I'm not looking at you, man. I don't want to look at you when you start talking about Brooklyn and Washington and the Clippers.
Aaron called Bank, remember?
I called game.
Yeah.
You called game? I know
Carolina
that.
Key over
Brooklyn
here.
Paul.
I was through by the end. My mind wasn't even in the game. I was on to something else.
Coming up, the Bengals kept the band together on offense. So is this the year Burrow gets his MVP? We'll talk about it next on Speak. The Bengals have started out the last 2 seasons slow and as a result missed the playoffs. Jamar Chase talked with reporters about how the slow start could be avoided. Speak up, Jamar.
So in your opinion, playing in the preseason is not a game changer for how you guys start?
I don't know. How did we start my rookie year? Did we play in the preseason? I don't know. What about the next year? Did we play preseason? What about the following year? We played that preseason? Sound like we need to play preseason, huh? I mean, y'all found your own answer. I just asked y'all a question. Y'all told me the answers.
P, do the Bengals need to play their stars more in the preseason?
I don't think so. I really don't, because you're taking a risk of them not getting out of the preseason to even see the regular season by playing them. If they go a series or 2 here or there, yeah, that's fine. But that's not the issue. If you think about it, they've gone 1-3 in their first 4 weeks in the last 2 seasons, and they missed the playoffs both years, right? Mm-hmm. Under Zach Taylor, in 6 seasons, the Bengals are 1-11 in the first 2 weeks of the season. That ain't got nothing to do, and it ain't got nothing to do with the preseason, because those years that I just ran off to you, they was playing in the preseason when they in the 6 seasons at 1-11. It's for whatever reason they start off slow and it winds up catching up to them.
Can I ask a question? What does a limited participation in the preseason do? Like, does it do anything for you as a veteran player?
No.
Nothing.
No.
Because the timing's not the same. The speed of the game.
Timing is the same based on the things that you do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not showing you anything. Everything's going to be vanilla.
Right.
We're going to run cover 3 on defense. We're going to run a couple slants and hitches, maybe a go route. We might run the same running play. And that's really all you get. It's more about sneak conditioning than it is anything.
Got it.
As a veteran player, when I left the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and got to the Dallas Cowboys under Bill Parcells again, dude played me 1 game the whole 4 quarters in the preseason just to get me ready for the season, because he felt like I wasn't in condition. He just felt like that's what he needed to do to me. And I played, and I was complaining. I'm like, dude, why you got me out here with the dude wearing number 49 at quarterback? He's never gonna make the team. So it's just,
I don't know. It's tough, though. The Bengals, 2021, they started the season 3-1. Then 2-2, then 1-3 the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Last year, it actually very much cost them.
Yep.
But y'all know, the Rams, ain't no preseason. Nothing.
Okay, but the Rams are not missing the playoffs.
I understand that, but my whole point is you don't need the preseason like
Well,
that.
they need something.
You just don't.
Well, they need health
The Philadelphia Eagles, they went and won the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes does not play.
The Bengals have missed the playoffs the last 2 years.
Has nothing to do with
But you talking about established teams like when you
They
say,
just was in the Super Bowl.
But when you say the Chiefs and you say the Rams, you talking about McVay. Look at the coaches behind.
I
all of
understand it. Zach Taylor was just given an extension, 2 years ago, because he took them to the Super Bowl. And they won the Super Bowl. I mean, they went to the Super Bowl, could have won the Super Bowl if it wasn't for Aaron Donald.
Where is Zach Taylor going to be if they miss the playoffs this year?
He going to be sitting between me and Rick.
Right.
Here.
Yeah.
Hey, Zach, what do you think about what just happened in Pittsburgh?
What do you think about preseason games? I mean, I don't think that they should be playing major time in preseason games. I'm just saying they cannot start 1-3 again.
No, they can't.
Yes, but you're not going to play enough minutes in the preseason to make a difference, though, Joy.
All right, well, they need to
Getting
move,
a snap
they need
or
to
two
move,
ain't
they
gonna
need to
help
move
you.
the locker room around, light some sage.
No, you know what they need?
Extra stretching.
No, they need help. They need help. Because as the resident Bengals expert here, I can tell you that, one, Joe Burrow hasn't been healthy, has been coming off of something
Every year.
every year. Right?
Every year.
And two, last year, in particular, defensively, they were in tatters at the beginning of the year. And so offensively, they just couldn't maintain.
Well, they got a new defensive coordinator now.
Well,
that
we'll
won't
see.
be the excuse.
We'll see. I mean, they still need to have help. They need to have their studs on the field. And if that happens, then I think it will be a different situation.
Do you know if you're related to Zach Taylor at all?
I don't think there's a relation. A good coach. Sticking with the Bengals.
Hey, Zach!
Joe Burrow was ranked as the second quarterback going into the season, according to Pro Football Focus. Burrow was behind Patrick Mahomes at 1 and ahead of the last 2 MVP winners, Lamar Jackson at 3 and Josh Allen at 4. Paul, you have an issue with Burrow being ahead of the last 2 MVPs?
I do have an issue. I mean, Burrow put together a fantastic season. They just didn't win enough games. I mean, one would argue if he won a couple more games, he probably would have got MVP. I mean, it would have been tough with Allen, but I don't see how you put him over Allen and Lamar. Just out of respect, I think you got to put them in there, the last 2 MVPs. But, he belongs in the conversation, definitely. And certainly, we're going to be talking about him in the MVP race again this year. And so, but prematurely putting him ahead of these guys, I wouldn't have done it. But he's definitely in the conversation with the elites because every time we talk about the big 4, he's in it. Mm-hmm. And it's going to change each and every year. This is these 4 quarterbacks, we're going to be talking about them all year long, and Hurts is in the conversation now too. And we're going to be like, all right, this is the big 4, and it's going to change. Their rankings is going to change for the next few years. Like last year, coming in, it should be Allen number 1. I'm not giving, because Patrick Mahomes, he went to the Super Bowl, but Allen was the MVP, so he automatically gets number 1 for me. Then I could probably go Patrick Mahomes just on the strength of him making the Super Bowl. I can probably argue for Jalen Hurts being in there too, so. But, there's going to be different football heads that's going to have their different opinions. That's just mine.
When you look at where Joe Burrow is ranked, number 2, right? Patrick Mahomes won Super Bowls or whatever. Forget that. He made the playoffs last year, okay? Slightly below him. Lamar Jackson, MVP conversation. Is it him or Josh Allen? He made the playoffs. Josh Allen, playoffs MVP. Then you look at Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP, playoffs, in the conversation of regular season MVP at some point throughout the season. Jaden Daniels, young rookie of the year, playoffs. They all made the playoffs. Joe Burrow's the only one that didn't make the playoffs. But yet and still, they got him at number 2. If you give any of these dudes the receivers that he got, you're going to throw for 10,000 yards. Just think about that. If Patrick Mahomes had Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, if Lamar Jackson had those two, or Jaden Daniels, well, Jalen Hurts kind of got those two in
Philly, yeah.
in Philadelphia with Smith and AJ. But when you start to think about it, I like Joe Burrow. He's cool. But let's stop always liking him because he's cool. Let's like him for what he actually is putting out on the field in terms of the W's and the L's. And all of it ain't his fault. But we hold everybody else to this standard of trying to, well, it doesn't matter. He still got to do this. Same thing with Brock Purdy. We do that to Brock Purdy. All of a sudden now, Brock Purdy, no matter what we give Brock Purdy, he's got to win. Even though if his player's been hurt, so what? He's got to win. Even we don't do that to Joe Burrow. The first thing we say is the defense was so bad, they couldn't win. Overcome that. Overcome it. Just overcome it. Josh Allen overcame not having top receivers.
Well, he almost did. They stumbled out of the gate so badly that they weren't able to overcome it. But I tend to agree.
Almost. Okay.
Yeah, no. I agree.
You almost
like,
caught that, Coach. But you didn't.
But
no, but that's the reason why he was in the MVP conversation at the end of the season last year, which I didn't think he should be.
Right.
I think if you're going to miss the playoffs, if you're going to start that poorly, and no matter what kind of numbers you have, you can't recover from that when guys have put together a totality of a season as impressive as Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels did. I mean, 4 games to put up those kind of performances. And I understand it was a lot of the defense, but to Key's point, we don't give everybody else's those excuses. Like, if you're in the elites, you're expected to win. And they've missed the playoffs the last 2 years. I think they're under more pressure than any team in the league this year because it's not about, going to the Super Bowl. You can't miss the playoffs again. You can't miss the playoffs 3 years in a row with an elite player like Joe Burrow and those 2 receivers that you just paid. It's not acceptable. So I think I agree with you, Paul. You can kind of move these guys around based off of your preference. So I understand why he's there. But when we're talking about where all of them are ranked and what they've accomplished over the past couple years, you've got to have Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson higher to me.
If you take the quarterbacks out of their teams and just look at them as quarterbacks and what their capabilities are, I can make a case for Joe Burrow being number 2. Is it warranted based on what they accomplished last year? Now, I agree with you. I feel like the MVP talk was a bit of a sympathy vote because he was playing so well and they were so compromised. And I think one of the reasons why he gets the benefit of the doubt is because he has succeeded in spite of having a compromised team around him before. He's played and gotten them to the playoffs with a terrible offensive line and with a shaky defense. He's done that before. So I think that's where we give him a little more grace than a Brock Purdy, who we've never seen get it done unless he has a full complement around him. But even as a Bengals fan, I can tell you that the idea that we would give him the grace, that we would put him here in spite of he tried really hard, he played really well, but ultimately they didn't get it done, then I can't make a strong case for you in terms of putting you ahead of Lamar and putting you ahead of Josh Allen. I think pure pound for pound, he's a better quarterback than either one of those guys. But if we're basing this on, did you get the job done or not? Obviously he didn't.
Better than what quarterbacks?
Better than who?
Better than Josh Allen, better than Lamar Jackson as a quarterback. I think he's a better passer of the football.
You want to go to the next segment?
You got an issue with that?
I can't listen to that. Rick,
Why?
He's not better than Josh Allen pound for pound.
Why not?
Josh Allen just won the MVP. Josh Allen hasn't gone to a Super Bowl yet.
Oh.
But he's gone to the AFC Championship game despite not having any weapons to throw to. But despite that.
Got a pretty.
Despite that, though.
Got a pretty good.
And the defense. The defense has been okay.
Okay.
Not lights out. Not only that, you talk about a full arsenal. When Cincinnati went to the Super Bowl, they had a full arsenal.
Full offensive arsenal.
They had a defense arsenal too.
They had a decent defense.
They had a decent defense.
But
I'm going to say a full arsenal.
But my whole point to that being,
they didn't have a defense better than the Bills' defense.
The
Bengals did not have a better defense than the Bills' defense.
1,000%.
No way.
The Bills had good, cute names. Von Miller on the edge. They had names that made you think, ooh-wee. It wasn't like that.
Right.
And I'm just saying to you, you say Brock Purdy didn't give us what we were looking for, despite not having all the weapons. What's the difference between not having a defense and not having all the weapons when T. Higgins was missing time? Last year, it's the same thing for Joe Burrow. If you don't have your stuff around you,
Agreed.
because when he had his stuff around,
Now you're making a case.
When
Now you're making a case for Joe Burrow because when Joe Burrow had his stuff around him,
yeah, he was able to do it.
He was going to the Super Bowl.
But you're trying to say that Brock Purdy, you can't make the same case for Brock Purdy. Yes, you can.
Why?
Because he went to the Super Bowl. It wasn't his fault that they lost the Super Bowl. He had nothing to do with that. He played well in the Super Bowl against Kansas City.
but I've seen Joe Burrow drag compromised teams to the playoffs. I haven't seen Brock Purdy do that.
His team, the only team last year was broken completely down. He couldn't carry him. They was done.
Oh, yeah.
You are correct. You could
Are
not
we talking
carry
about
him.
Brock Purdy?
No, we just
Yeah, we kind of threw him in there.
we threw in Brock Purdy because the guy to my left, was trying to say that he's going to give Joe Burrow the benefit of the doubt because his defense isn't very good. Then he tried to throw a slide on Lamar Jackson.
KD, I know how it feels now.
And Josh
I get it.
Allen. He tried to throw a little
got
slide and
it.
thought I wasn't going to catch that.
I can't give Lamar and Josh, particularly Josh, because he just won the MVP. Joe Burrow is a wildly talented quarterback. He's
That's all I'm
great
saying.
and a
No one
winner,
ever said he wasn't.
for sure. But
he ain't better than Josh Allen.
You got him. You comparing him to Brock Purdy?
coming up, has this postseason run actually damaged Anthony Edwards' reputation? That's next on Speak.
Were you not?
No.
Hey,
Huh?
compare them to Brock
saying to me,
Purdy.
I know.
Anthony Edwards has reached the Western Conference Finals for the second straight year and has bounced big names along the way, including KD, LeBron, Steph Curry, and Nikola Jokic. But last year, he came up short in the conference finals against Luka Doncic's Mavericks. And this year, he is trailing Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's Thunder 3-1. Lots of names in that read. Key, has this postseason helped or hurt Ant's superstar status?
I think it has. I mean, it hasn't hurt it. I think it helps it. Because when you think about his career, he's been to the Western Conference Championship twice now. He's 23 years old. And when you talk about some of the great players, and forget some of the greats, I'm going to mention Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. When you talk about some of the comparisons to Jordan at 23 years old hadn't been to 2 Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
So he's already ahead of the curve as far as that goes. He is. He's ahead of the curve as far as that goes. We talked about all those numbers the other day, Rick, and some of the same names and company that he was in line with, the Kobe's, right, the LeBron Jameses of the world, the KD's of the world, in terms of numbers and what he's accomplished at the age of 23 years old. And I think because of that, his future is bright. Now, whether or not they make a crazy comeback and get there, chances are not. But he's just getting really started. I think Jordan won
28.
Not the NBA title, his first MVP at 25 years old.
Well, yeah, he didn't win his first title until 28.
And he didn't win his first title till 28. This kid is already, and I don't want to call him a kid, this young man has already been to 2 finals in terms of Western Conference Finals. So I think he's just fine, sitting right where he's at. Even if he doesn't get out of here, and he has to go on vacation a little earlier than what he anticipated, I think he's way ahead of the curve. You don't, Rick, obviously.
Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, I think he's helped it more than hurt it. He's had some up and down games. And right now, we got to understand, listen, we jumped the curve on Ant. We came out and said things like face of the league, best player in the league at times. And yes, he is 23 years old. That's what we forget. But when we look at all these international stars and we're looking and search for the next American great, I said when Tatum won last year, he should be face of the league. But there's a number of things that come with all of that. Listen, he was a number 6 seed this year. Think about that. They traded their second best player in a shocking trade in my eyes, because Cat, all-star, perennial, 20-10 guy, got to the conference finals. And they traded that away for, of course, Randall and some more depth, DiVincenzo. The key for him is he's continued to knock at the door at 23. That's the key. He's knocking at the door. And if you continue to go through your growing pains and continue to knock at the door, I saw Boston knock at the door for 6 to 7 years before they finally just bust through the door and got their first championship in the Tatum-Brown era. When they were talking, they were talks of trade Brown or trade Tatum. They're too much alike. So you got to be able to withstand the crowd noise. I'm excited to where this star is going, Anthony Edwards, and it's all a part of growing as one of the tough NBA competitors. It's hard to win a championship, for one. It's so hard. And he's realizing that right now. Now, I think OKC will put him out tonight, but I love where he's at. He's ahead of the curve. And if he eventually wins an NBA championship, we're going to be revisiting these conversations of face of the league. But let's not forget, he's only 23 years old.
He's 23 years old.
There's no question that he has hurt his standing as a superstar player. And let's stop with he's ahead of the curve and he's ahead of what Michael Jordan did. Michael Jordan, at 23 years old, was all-NBA first team and finished second in MVP voting in the league. Can we stop
comparing him to Mike, though?
No, absolutely. I was just going to say, I don't even want to put him in the same sentence anymore.
The only reason why I brought up Michael Jordan, because the conversation has been about Michael Jordan around Ant-Man. And when you look at from an age standpoint, what they accomplished at that age of 23, that's the only reason why.
And that's the only reason that I'm bringing it up, because at 23 years old, Michael Jordan finished second in MVP voting in the league.
I understand.
And was all-NBA first team. At 23 years old, Anthony Edwards is not doing that.
And Michael Jordan at 23 years old didn't go to 2 Western or Eastern Conference finals.
I look at that as the Minnesota Timberwolves went to those conference finals.
But you're the only one that's looking at that. Ain't nobody else looking at it, because we wouldn't even be having a conversation about Ant-Man if it was all about the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I don't think I'm the only one looking at it that way. But here's the thing. The biggest reason why this postseason, and I'm glad that the question is framed the way that it is, the reason that he's taken a hit in this postseason is only partly because of what he has and hasn't done. And the bigger issue is what the other stars in his era or on his level have done. Tyrese Haliburton has elevated himself. Jalen Brunson has elevated himself. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has elevated himself. And so as a result, all of those guys have taken a step up in a way that you can look at all of them and say they've all had their signature moments. They've had their signature series. They've proven something to us about them that we did not previously think. Anthony Edwards, we keep waiting for that, and we have not seen it.
But see, I'm going to have to cut you off again. Because we just
I'm done, so you're not cutting me off. You
just sat here a few days ago.
Yeah.
Am I lying, Paul?
Be careful with that pronoun, that we. It might not be it might be you.
No, we. All 4 of us knuckleheads sat up here a few days ago, and we talked about the bowling pins that he was knocking down in the last 2 playoff appearances each year. Were we not?
Yep.
Now, all of a sudden,
KD, LeBron, Steph.
No. I was throwing water on that.
No, you was not.
Yes, I was.
Don't have us go to the tape. We don't want to do you like that.
Oh, no,
because
we can
receipts.
Get the tape.
We talked about.
Please get the tape.
We talked about it, right? Luka, LeBron, Luka, Kyrie originally. Joker. Like, we had these conversations. You don't remember that?
I was talking about how Julius Randle had as much to do with him getting past Steph and LeBron, and how what a false narrative
you can't even
that
get it out.
was,
You're lying so much
that he's
right
knocking
now.
all these guys off.
I think it's pretty neutral. I think it's neutral. Where I would say it's the past few days have felt a little sticky is Haliburton, a player that was voted overrated by his peers as having an unbelievable postseason. Brunson, I don't know. You know, he's been great, but you know they're gonna likely go in 5 or 6. So I don't know that I want to put him in that conversation. And SGA obviously is the league MVP and has been unbelievable, and will probably put them out tonight. I don't. When you're going up against your peers, and this really what this feels like, because this particular Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals has been all young guys.
Yeah.
Like there is no KD, there is no LeBron, there is no
This is
Steph.
the new wave. This is the next wave.
This is the new wave. So I'm not panicking about it because he's only 23, and they are knocking on the door. He was there last year. They're back again this year. It's hard to get to a Western Conference Finals. That's not an easy thing to do either. So it's hard to win a championship, and hard to get to a finals, hard to get to a Western Conference Finals. He's very young. Each year is a learning experience. Each year is an ability to adjust your game to come back better. So I don't think it's hurt his reputation. If you had unmitigated expectations of them absolutely going to the finals and winning, then I think it's hurt it. But they are going up against the #1 seed in the Western Conference with the MVP. I mean, that is happening.
But don't we take into consideration, and we've had this conversation too, and we can get the tape on this, which was when they closed out the Warriors. Was it Game 5? And Ant doesn't show up. You're expecting him to be the guy that's closing the door. And there's just been too many games where we've questioned, where is he? What's he doing? Why isn't he being aggressive? Why isn't he being the best player on this team? Like, for whatever you want to say about Jalen Brunson, he delivered against the Boston Celtics. Like, he won that series. You don't question throughout these playoffs the fact that he's stepped up and been what you expect him to be. Tyrese Haliburton has been more than what you expected him to be. SGA has been at least what you expected him to be. I would say, for the most part, that based on the way we talk about Anthony Edwards, he hasn't been what we expect him to be at this point. And I'm not saying that at 23 years old, he can't become that. But if you're asking me, has he met expectations? I would say no.
I would say yeah.
And with the other three, I would say they've exceeded them.
I would say they've exceeded them, and he's met expectations. Again, getting into the playoffs, and like Joy just said, getting to the Western Conference Final is hard as hell, man.
Sure, but doesn't it matter how? Julius Randle has I would make a case, was more impactful, certainly early on in these playoffs, in the first two rounds, than Anthony Edwards was. Anthony had his moments, but Julie was consistently there.
But you could say that Julius Randle was probably more consistent than Anthony Edwards, and that's okay.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. You could say he's inconsistent, but don't act as though you're making it seem as though he's just a guy walking around with a uniform on.
No,
that's the way I take it.
No, not at all. We're talking about the superstar player. We're talking about the next wave of superstars. Anthony Edwards was first and foremost on that list when we came into the playoffs, talking about this was the time that he was going to ascend. And I haven't seen that ascension. And I have with those other guys.
He's been a little bit like this.
Though. Going into the playoffs, let's say the playoffs started today, did you have Minnesota in the conference finals? I didn't. They played the Lakers. Think about it. They played the Lakers.
Yeah, we all picked the Lakers.
Everybody picked the Lakers.
After game one.
No, don't after.
Before
the series.
As soon as I had game one, I said there's no way that Minnesota is losing the series.
But you had before the series, we said Lakers.
You can't believe, you can't
So when they put the Lakers out, that's when I officially say, listen, there's a changing of the guard in the NBA.
Okay.
When I saw the pushing of LeBron, I said, there's a changing of the guard. Then they took out Steph, and I know Steph was hurt, but I had a feeling they would take them out with a healthy Steph because of what I saw, what they did to the Lakers.
That was a no contest series.
Now, for us to hold judgment on him for what he's doing against a 68-win team, a guy who's won the MVP, and many of us up here, or maybe all of us, feel like they're going to be the NBA champs. For him to drag this Minnesota team, and yes, he's had some up and downs, but he's had some moments too. He's had some moments in this series. You know, we just forget about they just blew out OKC by 40.
Yeah.
Nobody's done that this year.
He's dragging them to where they are? That's a little...
What did Julius Randle have? 5 the other night? 6? What did he have?
What did Jalen McDaniels and Dante DiVincenzo have? More than freaking what Anthony Edwards has.
Listen, they're benefiting off of the attention he's getting. Like, think about when you play against somebody who has that kind of magnetic force, you're going to be open. These guys got to make shots. You're pros. His impact on winning and his impact on the game goes beyond numbers.
6 assists, 5
DiVincenzo doesn't get 21. These guys, Alexander, you know, they don't get these numbers if Anthony doesn't show his gravitational pull because they're double teaming him 100% of the time on his drives. Did you see that stat? I've never even heard of that. I've never heard of 100% of the time throughout a 48 minute he got double teamed.
And it worked.
Well,
And he
it
got
almost
the ball,
didn't work. They
and he
almost
got
won,
the
Rick.
ball out of his hands, and they almost won. They only beat him by 2 points. And Julius Randle had 5 points.
I've never in my life expected that I would be up here with two unabashed apologists for almost got it done.
I'm not. I'm just telling you.
Almost got it
You
done.
making it
expect this
sound like
from Minnesota.
OKC just ran shop on them, though. And that's not the case. They just waxed them by, what was
Up
it,
here
40?
with-
Yeah, they
Up here
just
with
smacked
2
them.
Hall of Famers and they
Smacked them.
You know what? He gave it a good try. We should
No,
give
I
him
mean,
credit.
it's growing pains to all of this. You know, we like I said, 23-year-old, it's like,
Yeah.
that's so young.
why we keep bringing his age up?
Because we
he's
forget.
23.
Okay.
Because when you're 23,
He feels older than 23.
How old was KD when he won his first championship?
How
old was KD?
KD was like 30.
Okay, so let's say he was 30. What LeBron
was 27.
LeBron was 27.
What is that?
LeBron was 27. What was Tatum?
26.
So Tatum 26. I don't know what Parker was, Tony, and Kobe came out of high school, so he was
How old
much
is
younger.
SGA going to be when he wins his first championship?
That's fine.
26.
That's fine, because I don't know.
right,
I don't
that's
know.
fine.
26.
I don't know if he's going to win it this year.
Okay. If
I
he
don't know.
doesn't, then Tyrese Haliburton is.
And even if he wins it, he'll be
KD
26
was
years
28.
old. KD 28. Like, come on.
So what's your point? That Anthony Edwards isn't winning a championship anytime soon that I
He's
know.
23 years old with a lot of growth ahead of him.
I know, but we're not talking about potential here. We're talking about what they've done in this postseason. And when I look at what Tyrese Haliburton and Jalen Brunson and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander have done in this postseason compared to what Anthony Edwards has done, his stock has fallen because others have risen.
Did they get a better draw?
Oh, my God.
I'm just asking, did they get a better draw?
What other excuse are we going to find?
We're not giving them no excuse.
No,
I'm not giving- I'm
they
just
did
asking
not
you a
get
question.
better.
This team
Better
overachieved.
draw.
The Minnesota
overachieved
Vikings,
to
Lord
me.
have mercy. The Minnesota Timberwolves were what seed, Paul?
6 seed.
And
Timberwolves
what was OKC?
faced a vastly overrated
one
Lakers
versus
team.
6. Don't you think
An
one should always be
injured
6?
Warriors team.
At least I do.
Oh,
one
my
should always
God.
be 6, in my opinion.
They over exceeded expectations. He had a career year, led the league in
Timberwolves?
threes. Yeah, they did. They did. They over exceeded expectations.
Well, because they were underwhelming during the regular season and they came in as a lower seed than they should have been based on their talent.
But once
Now we're gonna say that they overachieved.
yeah, they overachieved based on what they did in the regular season. We all had the Lakers in the conference finals.
We did.
Come on now.
I
did
for
do
sure
that.
had them in the conference finals.
And then we were
Even
talking
though we
about
was a
maybe
fake
I wasn't
3
here that
seed.
day.
maybe Golden
We
State
were a
with
fake
Jimmy.
3
We got
seed.
them.
You don't remember that day?
No.
We don't want to pull up that
Be
graphic.
lying, though. I can't. Right, Rick be sitting there
Yeah,
lying,
we
looking
got-
at us in the face with them blue eyes,
Do we
lying. Man, I can't trust you.
Breakout
I
season
can't trust you, man.
for Caleb Williams in year 2. That's next. That's me.
Archie, that's who he looks like, Archie. That's who I figured it out, Archie.
With the first pick, Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams.
The beginning of the Caleb Williams era.
Williams fields it to the end zone. Touchdown! What a throw by Caleb Williams. Oh, baby! Williams to the back of the end zone for DJ Moore.
And here comes Caleb. There was nothing but green grass.
Williams fields it to the end zone. Touchdown! That's the big play Bears fans have been looking for.
You know that.
Caleb Williams enters his second season in the NFL with a new offensive-minded head coach, and the team is expecting a slight change from their quarterback. According to a report, the Bears want Caleb to improve his, quote, body language and pre-snap procedure. Examples were reportedly Caleb being slow to get off the ground and how he could have handled the in-season firings of the coaches better. The new staff also reportedly used a play as an example of Caleb mixing up which side the motion was coming from pre-snap.
Man.
He was a rookie. Yeah, you mix up, like you get confused. The damn playbook is so big, all the terminology at times can sound the same. I'm not gonna deem him because he motioned a guy from over here when it was really supposed to be from over there. And that's
You don't have to tell me that. I thought it was crazy that the expectations were out like that. It's
Well, the
really hard
expectations
to
was
be a
that
rookie
way.
in the NFL. It's especially difficult to do that when you're going to a situation that wasn't even close to what everyone thought it was with him going to Chicago. And then the expectations were insane. Now, I understand Jaden Daniels did what they expected the Chicago Bears to do, but I think he went to, and we can all admit now, a much better situation than Caleb went to. But what is your expectation for Caleb in year 2?
I see a slight improvement from last year. Just all I need to do is see a slight improvement. Some of the things that I talk about when you become a rookie, just get to the stadium. Your second year, learn how to be a professional at that position, whatever that position is. And he needs to learn how to be a professional at the quarterback spot. They mentioned body language. Body language says a lot, you know, especially from a defensive standpoint. If you slow to get off the ground and your head is down and you walking back to the huddle and you look in a certain way in the eyes, we can tell, like, oh, yeah, he out here shook. So you change that body language, you change all those things your second year, now you become something. You understand how to get in and out of the huddle fast. It's a different terminology than he had last year. It'll be different. So Ben Johnson will help him along the way to understand where certain things are in terms of motioning or even putting people in the right spots, in the right places. What happens to air raid quarterbacks, as I like to say, the system that Caleb came from in college, everything is turn to the sideline, get the signal, you know, damn, everybody, all 11 guys turn to the sideline and look so you know the play. In the pros, he's got to get the information. Think about this. He's got to get the information in his headset, retain the information, whether he looks at the wristband because they gave him a number and he has to spit it out, or they giving it to him in a headset. Now he has to regurgitate that, spit it out, give it to the players that's sitting there. And if one player doesn't know what to do, he goes, what I got on this play? That will mess Caleb completely up. Now Caleb is like, okay, you the Z. Last play, you was the X. And so it's a lot of information that this young man is getting, but I think he'll be much better under Ben Johnson because they'll bring him along the right way. It's the way that I thought the Chicago Bears and Matt Eberflus should have brought him along in the first place, which is drive the bus. I just need you to drive it nice and slow in the slow lane like an old person. That's what I need you to do. They didn't do that last year. They tried to get him to fly.
What are your expectations for Caleb in year 2?
My expectations is definitely improvement. He got to keep them. They can't be in last place in the division. And I know it's probably the toughest division in football. You know, they won 5 games, and a lot of those, this is a tricky 5 games because when I looked at a lot of the Chicago games, they probably lost 3 games because of coaching.
Probably
you
more.
remember, like,
probably more
minimum, you know, the Hail Mary.
But, like, yeah, the end of game scenarios.
The end of game, it was a few end of game scenarios really where they didn't call the timeout, I remember, to get the field goal or something like that.
Hail Mary, he was over there partying.
Yeah. So I expect them to fight this year, to be more competitive, to definitely win more than 5 games. I mean, they shored up. They got some weapons for him. They got him a line to finally protect him. I hope he doesn't, end up being sacked as many times as he did a year ago. That was a problem. So I expected him to be very competitive. I expect him to pretty much, man, I mean, based on what he asked for, based on what he's given, you would almost hope that they can fight for a playoff spot. You're the number 1 pick. When you look around and you look at all his peers, and I know he was a rookie and we got high expectations for number 1 picks when you throw him out there that first year, but when you see Daniels out there doing what he's doing, when you see Bo Nix, Penix, his peers having the success that they're having, and you're the number 1 pick, you question as an organization, did you make the right pick?
But the organization's got to know that they made the right pick. Because if they put Jaden Daniels with Matt Eberflus, it probably would be the same situation.
Yeah.
Because, again, circumstances and surroundings are very, very important to young quarterbacks in the National Football League. When you just mentioned Bo Nix, he went to a Super Bowl winning coach, a quarterback whisperer in Sean Payton. You talk about Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels went to Cliff Kingsbury, former NFL head coach, college head coach, Anthony Lynn, run game coordinator, head coach, longtime assistant in the National Football League, and Dan Quinn, longtime defensive coordinator, Super Bowl winning coach, as well as taking a team to the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots, although they surrendered the lead. But you know what I'm saying. He's been there. He's done that. This dude went to Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, I mean, I expect him to take a step up this season. I expect him to be better. I don't know that he has a choice but to be better. He's got everything that he asked for. They went out and they got the big guy that was on the market in Ben Johnson. So he's got his offensive guy. They brought in extra pieces. He is in year 2. You are measured against your peers, and last year was a big year for the rookies. And there were huge expectations for him last year, which I felt were not, I don't like using fair, unrealistic, and just, they were. I was right.
Why are you screaming at me?
I was right. They were unrealistic.
I didn't say anything.
You sighed.
I didn't say anything. You're like somebody's mother or something. I wasn't back talking. I didn't say nothing.
He's gaslighting me.
I didn't say nothing. I just was like,
gaslighter.
Gas. Now I'm the guy on the internet. Got it.
No, I do think they'll be better this year. And I think that they should not finish last in the division.
No.
Minnesota has a rookie quarterback. They're kind of retooling. This is an opportunity for the Bears to compete for a playoff spot. I don't think they have to make the playoffs in order for it to be a successful season. I think Caleb should look like he has a real grasp of the offense.
Go ahead and finish. I'm just going to stop you and clean you up a little bit for what you just said.
What?
It's not a rookie quarterback. What she meant by that was a guy that's never played. So just want you to know he didn't play last year.
He's entering into his first season.
Yes.
Sorry,
I just wanted
guys.
to make sure, because I don't want the internet to gaslight you.
Joy Taylor!
Yeah. Want to clean that up. Make sure, you know.
What do they sound like to you, like when you read them?
I feel like if
I
you
don't read them unless somebody
I feel like
sends
if you
them
don't
to
play
me.
your first year, and
He's
you
not
play your second year,
he's not
you still a
technically-
rookie.
technically-
he's not
I mean,
tech-
technically, you're
he's
not a rookie.
technically a rookie.
But people will say
Yeah.
something totally different, even though we know. So I just
It'll
want
be
to
his
make sure.
first season. Minnesota will have a first-year starter.
Starting quarterback.
That's the appropriate terminology for that, for the internets.
What do they sound like?
Thank
to
you,
me?
Keyshawn.
They sound like they're in their basement, I guess, from things. that I read.
Keyshawn Johnson.
Yeah, that type of stuff. And then they see you and go, wow, I enjoy watching you guys.
Yeah, we know. We love you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Paul Pierce is really funny.
Man.
Paul wants no parts of this. Coming up, Michael Irvin helped make the Cowboys America's team, but should Dallas still have that title? We'll discuss that next on Speak. I don't know, to me, they're always like yelling. The Cowboys have famously been dubbed America's team, but with the recent success and popularity of the Chiefs, some have thrown out Kansas City as America's team. Travis Kelce responds to that notion that the Chiefs have claimed that title from the Cowboys. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, so I'm kind of out on just the whole America's team.
I will say
deal.
this,
I don't give a about that shit.
I don't think anybody wants to
I
be
want to be
America's team
Kansas
other
City.
than exactly.
I want to be the Chiefs, man. That's
I'm
what I
with
want to
you.
be.
I'm with you.
I'm going to be
with
the
you on
big
that.
bad Chiefs. Come join if you want, but
Love
America's team,
No, we're Kansas City.
I'm cool.
Love it.
The boys can have that if they want them.
Paul, are the Cowboys still America's team?
100%, Joy. They're America's team because they're the biggest franchise, the biggest brand in all of football. They're America's team because, like I told y'all in agreement yesterday, as long as there's stars on the American flag and there's stars on the Dallas Cowboys helmet, they're America's team. America's team. 100%. They're the most recognizable. That's why, because they're the most recognizable brand. You leave the country with the star on your hat. No matter where you go, you fly for 16 hours and they just drop you off anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere, just you jump out the plane with your parachute, land.
Okay.
With a Cowboy, they know you play for the Cowboys.
Not these days.
You know, it's just certain franchises just
blame
well
them.
recognized. No matter, and if Dak is more popular than 90% of all football players because he wears that star on his head.
90%?
90%?
That's a high number, but yeah, I understand what
Oh,
you're
90%.
Are they still America's team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though they're not having the success on the field in the postseason that the original, I guess, the triplets and the playmaker and that group had on the field, but they still America's team. Like Paul is saying, you go anywhere in the world, anywhere. I played for the Cowboys for 2 years, and we were not we're okay, nothing special. But people remember that I played for the Cowboys. No matter where I go, it's like, they don't even say the Jets sometimes. They be like, Cowboys. Like, I played there 2 years, man. We didn't even win, you know? But it is what it is. And I understand exactly what Travis Kelce is saying. No matter how many championships the Kansas City Chiefs win, they ain't gonna never beat the Dallas Cowboys.
I mean, they're still the biggest brands. I don't think they're that important in the landscape of winning. So if we're talking about a big brand without a real reality, I think that's very on track for being America's team. I feel like the fake Gucci belt of the NFL. I mean, you have 7.5 as your over/under. You're maybe fighting for the 3rd or 4th spot in the division. And listen, nothing would make me happier than the Cowboys to be competitive in the postseason. That would be amazing. But do you feel like the Cowboys are going to be winning the division this year?
No, I don't think they're going to win the division, but I think they'll compete in that 3-4 spot.
Yep.
I'm going to get you that Gucci belt with the Louis reversible.
I'll take a fake one.
The Louis reversible.
You know that one, right, Paul?
Gucci
on one side, the Louis, then you flip
down.
it. Yeah, you flip it.
Hey, I keep them clean, though. Coming up, the Thunder can close out the Timberwolves on their home floor tonight. Will they punch their ticket to the franchise's first NBA Finals since 2012? That's next on Speed.
We got it on tape, Joe.
The Thunder have a commanding 3-1 lead over the Timberwolves and are at home tonight for Game 5. Paul, Thunder on the way to their finals tonight?
Thunder, the NBA champs of the 2025 season. I'm crowning them. They are going to the finals tonight, though.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a wrap. Even if Minnesota decided to play better, it's still a wrap.
But are they going to go tonight?
I think they will tonight.
That's it for us. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern.
It's over.